Okay, thank you. We're gonna get going on this presentation. We have some technical difficulties in the background, but Todd's gonna work through them. Maybe if I put my slides on so you can see them. Thanks for coming. I know it's late. It's been a long day. You're learning a lot. Mouth wide open with the fire hose, everything pouring in. That's the way we like to give you information around here. It's worked well in the past, and I think it continues to. So I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Frank Gocinski. I work for Microsoft. I am the manager for both business development and ISV evangelism for the tablet PC team. We've been newly reorganized into the mobile platforms division, but we won't get into that right now. My charter really is to help drive applications to market, to work with ISVs, folks such as yourself, build out the ecosystem, build up the developer community, and deliver real value-added applications. And this talk is focused around some of the work that we're doing. We're getting really excited. Things are really starting to click here, as I think you'll see when we walk through these slides. So along with me is Todd. You can't see him. He's there. He's one of the three. He's in the middle. And Todd's the chief architect for Agilix Labs. They've built the Franklin Covey Tablet Planner, one of the applications that they have in their repertoire. It's one of the first, what I would call pen-perfect applications, because it runs best on the tablet. It's an awesome application. Todd's going to share a lot of the experiences as an ISV to adopt this platform, what him and his team and his company have gone through. And I hope that you find that very enlightening. I know we have. We'll talk a little bit about the tablet, give you some product roadmaps so to set the stage, make sure you understand what our vision is, our focus is, what the next few years are going to look like, so you get an idea of what's happening. We'll touch on the new version, Tablet PC 2004 edition, or at least that's what marketing is calling it this week. It might change. I think in the earlier talk we mentioned the shipment vehicle for that will be Windows XP SP2, one single image. If you install XP SP2 on a tablet, you get the tablet functionality. Really excited about that. A lot of people have been asking for that. Then we're going to drill into the ISV momentum. What's happening out there? Who is making money? Who's building apps? Who's selling apps? Who's buying apps? All the stuff that you need to know to build your overall business value evidence so that you can start to work on this platform. There's lots of opportunities here, and I really want to help each and every one. We're trying to build out a scalable infrastructure from the ISV support program straight through to a huge beta program where we can get a lot of the help that you need to build the applications. So I wanted to start off real quickly with this slide because this talks about the Windows client vision. You know, what is it and what are we doing? We're here because we want to make Windows more valuable to people, to more people every hour of the day. That's really our goal. So how does the tablet help with that vision? Well, the tablet's pretty unique in that what it does, it now enables the use of the PC in new physical and social settings. So new opportunities, new customers, new places. Grab and go. Take your desktop power with you. Perform those operations that before you were constrained to your desks to do with this mobile device. That is the tablet PC. This slide was presented earlier, probably in quite a few decks this week. It's all about the choices that you as mobile developers have in building applications for market. Microsoft has one of the most amazing technology stacks when it comes to delivering this type of an experience to the end user. But there are decisions that need to be made. And where do you go and what do you do? Starts at the lower left with our smart personal object technology. Our Spot watches, which are pretty cool. Kind of big, but they're getting smaller. They're pretty cool. The Spot group just released the sports channel, I think last week. So now you can walk around, and if you're a Sonics fan like my family is, because I don't really watch basketball too often, you can get real-time feeds of the Sonics games or whatever team you happen to follow. And it's that type of information on your wristband that is changing the way people are interacting and working with computers. So what we're really seeing, as you're sliding up this curve, you're seeing more functionality, more capability. You go to the smartphone, where you have a great phone experience and you have a really cool way of getting that information that you need, maybe syncing up to Exchange, getting mail, getting alerts. And then up to the Pocket PC, where you have a great PDA. That also could be a phone, too. And you have the ability to work with applications more natively. You can run Excel, you can run Word, you can run other applications and see things the way you would have in your desktop machine or your notebook machine, but on this much smaller instant-on type form factor. So they all serve a pretty interesting purpose, and they all target very specific scenarios. As you go to the tablet, what you're starting to see, or what we're starting to see, is this what we referred to earlier as the revolution. It's now actually becoming more of an evolution. It is the ability to take the power of your desktop, the power of your notebook, in a mobile scenario. Grab it and go. Take all the applications that you've been running on your Windows box with you on this portable device. Windows XP Tablet PC Edition is Windows XP with a few pieces added on top of it. So what does that mean? That means almost every application written for Windows will run on the tablet as is without change. There are some limitations, direct draw and things like that. Some of the video power is not there yet. That's all changing though. But the reality from a transition perspective, from an end user that wants that functionality, those applications they've been used to using and the newer applications, this device enables that to happen. Some of the scenarios that we're seeing, the really core scenarios, the ability to use the pen as a natural input mechanism, it's really starting to take off. Folks are much less intimidated using that pen than they are with the keyboard in a lot of different environments, whether it's a social setting or whether it's a new user that has never approached a computer before because of the complexities around it. When you give them the pen and say start writing, much more natural. So again, what should be going off in your mind is new opportunities, new customers, new users of some of the applications that you have been building or will build. I can find my water. So the tablet team has a couple of focuses over the next 12 to 18 months. We're working real close with the OEMs. Better docking solutions. Some of them that are coming are pretty slick. Better digitizer support. We had a question in the earliest section, talk about angle and rotation and some of the pieces, some of the attributes that are missing from the digitizer. We're trying to fix those things. Form factors are changing, and you'll see in the slides that follow some of the new form factors. But tablets are getting bigger, they're getting smaller. What's really happening is digitizers are starting to wind up on notebooks, and that's what you're starting to see. That functionality of the pen and the digitizer just becoming pervasive everywhere. We're focused in on the IT shop. We want to make it easy. We want to make it hassle-free for the deployment of the OS and the deployment of tablet PCs into organizations. Critical, a big piece for us. And we're focused, we have a lot of people working on solving some of those issues. Application compatibility, another big area that we're working on. With XP SP2, if you've downloaded it or read any of the messaging, Microsoft for the first time is really advising ISVs test your apps, because the security lockdowns that we're putting in place, which are required to build a trustworthy environment to make sure that machine's secure, will have impact on applications. So app compat is another huge area where we put a ton of effort. And we're pretty excited about how many applications just run well on the tablet because of the feature set that we deliver. As I mentioned earlier, great on the go. We want to make it even better on the go. If you're the type of user that occasionally leaves the office to go to a meeting, grab it, take it to the meeting, write your notes in ink, come back, pop it in your docking station, and now you can work. If you're the road warrior that's on the road all the time, this is a nice device to have with you. As hardware improves and as we start to see dual spindle drives, you're going to have your DVD players and things like that in there. It can become the computer that you use day in and day out. The tablet's great in meetings. I think we all know that. If you've been to a meeting lately with a bunch of folks, they all have PCs, or they all have their notebooks, and they're all typing away. It's kind of annoying, kind of distracting. Well, I'll tell you what, with the tablet, you can do the same thing. You can do email, you can search the web. You don't have to listen at all to the meeting, but no one knows because it's much quieter when you're doing it on the tablet. So it's great in meetings. That was a joke. Jeez. All right, so let's take a look now at some of the hardware. We have around 40 OEMs that are building tablets today. 10 more we're working on. around 6 of them that have multinational support. First generation machines have come, they've gone. Second generation machines are on their way in. And you can see that, the new Gateway machine that's out there. HP introducing their ruggedized version just this week. Electrovaya coming in with a nice machine. Consumer-based machines. You can go to Tiger Direct today and for under $1,000 pick up a machine from an ODM called VAT that has about an 8.25-inch screen. It's about yay big with a built-in camera, flip-out case, really cool. Very, very targeted more towards the education group, the students. So as I mentioned, the excitement here, the fact that the OEMs are investing is a great sign from our perspective. All the things are happening at the right time. We're getting the hardware, we're getting software, and now we're starting to see ISVs, applications, success stories, customers with return on investments that are pretty amazing. Just by using the tablet in a note-taking environment, trimming off 15, 20, 30 minutes a day adds up across organizations. And that's just out of the box. Once they start to get your apps and they start to become more efficient with the things that you're providing them, that's when things take off. This slide is right from HP. I borrowed it from Nyla yesterday. We were on the BART coming back from Pleasanton, and I said, it's a really cool slide. Can I have it? She said no, but I took it anyway. So what HP is, and it's a great example of the power of the tablet. Going from slate mode, where you can pick it up just like a piece of paper, walk in, take your notes, write with it, or you can bring out the keyboard and start typing. Let's say you have a lot of email to do. Or you can go back to your desk, plug it into that docking station, and it becomes your desktop machine. The transition is extremely smooth, and it's very seamless from part to part as you go through that. So this is where we're finding a lot of that value add. You don't necessarily have to pay the price of multiple machines, of synchronizing them. This one particular device can be the be-all machine for yourself. And power's, the processing speed's going up, hard drives are going up. We have much more better video memory coming in, so they're really becoming compelling machines. The other thing that's interesting is the price differential starting to fade away. You're starting to see $100+ to $200 difference between a tablet and its counterpart notebook. And once the end user, the consumer, the customer at the corporation can attach a return on investment to the pen and buy the applications that you're building, that decision becomes easy to go ahead and make this purchase. So what does our roadmap look like? In 2003, we've really set the tablet up as an ultra-portable PC, and we've had great success in the vertical industries. Healthcare, education, manufacturing is even a great example. Post-CAD type scenarios where the architect walks into a plant, to a site, and redlines a drawing, and with wireless sends it back to the shop immediately to get changes made and requests made. Those vertical successes have helped to drive most of the sales. The other interesting thing about the sales in the vertical area is the majority of them are based on an ISV solution, not just Microsoft. Microsoft and you, our partners, are the value that organizations see when they look at the tablet, and that's why they're making those purchases. As we move into 2004, 2005, we're really focused with the tablet just becoming, not just becoming, but the tablet becoming a technology feature on the mobile PC. Just part of it. Digitizing the pen, it's just there all the time. And then when it gets real exciting, in the Longhorn time frame, 2006, things really start to get, as Jim Alchin would say, really start to get personal. The tablet becomes your personal companion. You're going to see advancements like Instant On. You'll see much better video capabilities, higher resolution. So this device will be able to do just about everything that you need it to do day in and day out. So what are the opportunities? A lot of these items I've talked about earlier, but I'll state them again. Most computers will include tablet functionality at some point in time. Starting to see that happen. There's a lot of evidence out there. Hardware, the prices to buy the tablet, or the differential between a notebook and a tablet, slowly disappearing, which makes that decision making more easy. So opportunities really do exist to drive overall sales, but what's missing are the applications. Now I'll show you another slide in a few minutes that talks about the 100+ applications that are out there today. So we do have a nice groundswell. Things are starting to happen, but we really need more, and that's what we need you for, because that's what you guys do. You bring the value to the platform. I have two examples here I want to touch on because they're pretty impressive. First of all, forms. FormTrack did a study, and they said that roughly $22 billion a year is spent worldwide on paper forms, processing of paper forms. There is probably no better device than the tablet to work with a form, or to take a form or a paper-based process and automate it, because there's no sacrifice. It's a larger screen. You can make it look just like the paper-based process, and you give a user the pen. So instead of writing on their clipboard, they're writing on their tablet. Training's easier. Everything's easier. It's just a natural fit. Huge opportunity there. The consumer appeal is also amazing. I mean, my acid test is my mom. She won't use a computer. She still does her Italian club message. She still does her Italian club. I know I look Polish. That was my dad, but my mom's Italian. So she still does her Italian club newsletter on a typewriter. I gave her a tablet, and within a weekend, she's just writing, on a journal, going crazy. She loved it. It was the first time she's ever, I think, touched a computer. So there's some definite appeal there from the consumer end. Again, they need the applications. They need the why-to-buy applications. Okay. So Windows XP Tablet PC Edition 2004, or better known as codename Lone Star. We've been collecting information from customers, from ISVs for quite some time since we shipped this thing. And we've heard a lot of complaints, we've got a lot of praise, and we've incorporated a lot of that feedback into this new version. So what you're starting to see is much deeper support of ink in the overall experience. We are focused very much right now on that ink to text experience. You collect it in ink, convert it to text. And that makes sense if you think about it, because most of the applications out there today don't support ink as a native data type, so they can't do anything with it. So if we forced everybody to hold on to ISF and to store it, that would be a barrier to adoption. So what we do with the tablet input panel is make that conversion happen before the application gets involved. So from the app's perspective, it's just getting text. So it continues to work. But that's not where we all win. It's when ink becomes pervasive. It's when ink stays as ink. Windows Journal is a good example of that, and there's plenty of others, such as what you'll see in a little while, where ink just remains ink. There's no reason to really convert it. You might want to do recognition in the background so you can search it and sort it and things like that, but leave it as ink. So we focused a lot on that input panel. I'll bring it up in a second and show you an example. But it makes the collection experience nicer. It grows as you type. It makes the correction of the recognition easier for the user, because just like working with speech recognition, the handwriting recognition is very similar. A couple of paragraphs and you get a few words wrong, that's enough to irk you a bit. You have to go in and fix that. And if it happens after the fact, you got to move through and highlight and change. A lot of work. So we made it easy at the point of entry. As you're writing, we're recognizing so you can see, and the correction of that's painless, very simple. We're also driving something called the context awareness. I'll call it a campaign, but context-sensitive handwriting recognition is how it's put here. The idea behind this is to take the ink that's being recognized and sort of constrain the recognition system so that it has a better opportunity of finding the right answer for you. And what that does is it actually drives recognition up amazingly. It really is. You can tell the difference right away when you start to play with Lone Star versus a V1 version of the tablet. And we do that in many ways. And the talk before here went into that, so I won't get into too much detail. The talks tomorrow will get into it more. But think of recognition simply as a dictionary lookup. So if you constrain the dictionary, it's going to have a better chance of finding the word. If you say, hey, it's a list of states that we're looking for, well, the list of states is finite. You can put that in. Chances are it's going to recognize it because it's constrained by that, as opposed to, you know, a 100,000-word unabridged dictionary. We've also done a lot of improvements in overall recognition. East Asia, one area that we've spent a considerable amount of time. And then a collection of platform enhancements. And the platform enhancements, I'll touch on them, but definitely out of the scope of this particular talk right now. Mentioned earlier that we'll ship this with XPSP2. That is in beta. Well, let me rephrase it. That is in RC mode today, available to you. If you want to access that, you can send email to tabbeta@microsoft.com. There should be an autoresponder that sends back the instructions on how to get onto the beta program. I don't know if it got in there yet, but if not, we'll touch you personally and make sure you get that information. But we're encouraging everybody to take a look at it. Download XPSP2, test your applications, and then start, if you have a tablet, start taking advantage of some of the tablet capabilities that are there. The SDK update allows a couple of focus areas here. Of course, context. In order to make an application contextually aware, you have to do a little bit of work. We have a tool that allows you to tag existing applications. It basically runs through. It's like a SPY++ type tool. You highlight an edit field. You say it's a number. You say it's a street. You say it's a zip code. It saves a manifest. The input panel loads it up, helps drive context. A very nice way to get integration or to get better quality experience on the tablet without actually writing any code, cracking any bits. But that's not where we want folks to be focused. We really want them to be doing it programmatically, because that's the ultimate experience when it comes to driving context. So the tagging tool, while it's a great first step, it's really just an entry level. We want people to do it programmatically. We've integrated web support now, so we can make browsing the web a much more unique experience. And here again is another opportunity. Just think of chats and think of you know, cookbooks and recipes and the things people can start to do now with a less intimidating way of working on the web. The tablet is that less intimidating way. It's simple. It's easy. People love it. So with our, we now have the ability to take WinForm-based user controls, and you can put them in an ASP page or an HTML page. And you can now deliver ink on a client, provided that client is a tablet, obviously. We have some great improvements from a component level around the real-time, what we call the real-time stylus, and this is access to ink information as it's being collected. You can think of a scenario where you're collaborating and you have two machines, and as you write on one, you want them to go across to the other one. Well, today that collaboration can't happen to the end of till a stroke is complete. Till I put my pen down, write it across, bring it up. Then that information is available. I can send it across. With the real-time stylus, I'm getting that information on the fly. I'm getting it more fluently, so I can, as I'm writing it, it's going across. So a much more collaborative experience. So the applications that you can build on top of that are pretty exciting. And we're also making sure that developers can actually build what they need on their desktops, but it's strongly encouraged that before you ship applications, you run it on the tablet, because you cannot really do justice to the overall experience without running. So let's talk about tablet integration. What does it really mean to be a good tablet application? There are a couple of levels. The first is tablet certified, and I apologize for saying certified. I probably shouldn't. I'm not building a certification program here, but the point I'm trying to get across is, as ISVs, what we want you to do, get a tablet and run your app on it. If that app works, and you haven't written any code here, that app works well, you can install that application with the pen and no keyboard, and you support landscape and portrait rotation of the screens, then you have a great tablet app. The end user using your app on the tablet will have a good experience. And that's goodness. That's goodness for all of us. So with that level, Microsoft has an ISV program where we'll start to include you in our catalog. We'll start to help you drive awareness of your application into the market. And at this point, you haven't cracked your bits to do anything specific to the tablet. But obviously, I get gold and I get I get reviewed on how well you do integrate. So I want you to move a little bit more to the right. The next level is what we call pen-centric. And pen-centric is where you've thought about the role of ink. So you've introduced something. Let's say it's a form-based application, maybe a Salesforce automation tool, and you want the ability for the user to collect casual notes around the client. So you take your app and you add a note field, and they can write these notes. So it's not really built around the tablet, but it works well on the tablet, and you have a role established for ink. You've thought through some of the guidelines. You've thought about putting that ink on the clipboard. You've thought about maybe grouping like controls to make it easier for the pen. That's what we're going to call a pen-centric based application. And then there's Pen Perfect. And these applications are the most exciting to look, to use, and actually to play with. These apps run the best on the tablet. And we're starting to see more and more of them come to market. And this is where it gets real exciting for the platform, because these will be the why to buy applications. Okay, so I get asked a lot about screen rotation on a desktop. So before I came on Friday, I went to Steve's office, because Steve Dodge is one of our lead developers on the tablet team, and this is his setup. He has his monitor sideways. And he's done that with, if you install the Tablet OS, you can actually rotate the screen and you can start using it this way. Or some of the drivers, like the NVIDIA driver, allows you to do it with just running regular Windows XP. So you don't need a tablet to actually test if you've rotated the screen. So I promised Steve I'd put this picture up. But I had to do some editing because I had a picture of his daughter there, so he was nervous. I don't know why he'd be nervous with folks like you. You look fine. All right. ISV momentum. There's a lot of words in this slide. I'll let you read a few of them before I drill into it. We've done some work over the last couple of months trying to understand what's out in the ecosystem. Who's writing tablet apps? What kind of tablet apps are there? Who they are? What type? Is it a horizontal? Is it a vertical application? And this is some of the data that we have. And it's not complete because we haven't touched everything or every one yet. We have roughly 100 plus applications that are available today for the tablet that you can go out and buy or pick up. Many more in process, but that's out there. We have around 250 ISVs that are integrating with the tablet SDK. So these are folks that actually cracked open their bits and are integrating ink or the roll of ink or the pen into their applications. And that's an exciting number. But the real important number is the 1,300 testers of the alpha version of Lone Star. So this has been out for about 6 or 8 weeks now. Of those 1,300 folks, we've identified about 400 new companies that we haven't touched. And I haven't included them in any of the statistics because we don't know. But that's exciting because there's a lot of folks that are really looking at this platform and starting to integrate. Our breakdown is pretty consistent to what we've been saying for a while. Most of the ISVs today are what we consider a vertical ISV. So it might be a company that builds healthcare apps or electronic record management apps, or something like a horizontal would be more of a SAP or a Siebel, where they're building application suites in the ERP space that go across all organizations or all types of companies. Solutions integrators, solution providers, around 8%, and then both dev tools and academics. We're starting to see a lot more academic folks play with the tablet because it's pretty interesting to them, especially the UI research folks, a lot of universities. We are working on an ISV catalog. We're going to start to promote all of these folks, so you'll get a feel of who they are. TabletPC.com will start to have a lot of the business value evidence, so you can see what these people are doing, how they've integrated, how their customers have gained from, or what their customers have gained from adoption of their technologies. Really trying to build that out so you have what you need to make decisions. From a ISV marketing perspective, we're putting together a complete end-to-end program that includes driving awareness of your applications. Because after all, that's what you want. You want new customers. One thing Microsoft can do real well is market. We know how to touch people, so we're going to help. We want to help you, and our ISV program is geared around that. We have an adoption program where if you have a reasonably large deployment and process, we can help you to close on that deal depending on what you need. We can be there as a resource for you. We have a vertical solutions program that's all around integrating into the vertical businesses. So we have some real domain experts that actually understand what electronic records management is not like I do. And so we're really, somebody's calling me. That's my daughter. We have this partner program that we've just sort of spec'd it out. We now have implementation in process. We have a email alias called TabISV. If you're interested, send information to TabISV. We'll connect with you, talk with you, get some information, and start to share what we have so we can help drive some of that. Oh, there it is. Look at that. TabISV. See my PowerPoint prowess there, right? I want to focus a few slides on the ISV side before I turn over to Todd and let him tell you a lot about what they've been doing. Again, these case studies are up on Microsoft, on tabletpc.com or Microsoft.com/tabletpc. You can see them there. You can read in detail. But these are 4 or 5 of the recent deployments that we have. Some of them, like the Marshfield Clinic, 2,000 units. Pretty big numbers are starting to go in. What we're starting to see, a lot of those pilots that we were talking about in talks like this last year are turning into actual deployments. And that's great information because that means it's taking off. And these companies, these organizations, will not make that investment unless they see a return on that investment. So that says a lot for the platform. I've got 3 ISVs, different shapes and sizes to profile for you to give you a feel of what's happening out there in the ISV community. Myco is a company on the East Coast, about 5 or 6 people, relatively small, been around for like 20 years. It's a father and son shop. They build some great tools from the forms space. They have adopted the tablet, and it's been driving their business for the last year or so. What's interesting now, what's great to see now, is they're starting to have the customers that are talking about the benefits and that return on investment that they're getting using these applications. So this is a great example of a smaller ISV being successful with the tablet. And then we have a slightly larger ISV. SAP shipped their CRM 4.0 a couple of months ago. And their ink integration, I've been working with SAP for years, and they're a great bunch of folks, but, you know, ERP is not a space where innovation really jumps out. How much more can you do there? It's kind of boring stuff. I mean, it's important, but it's pretty boring. But these guys actually have some pretty cool innovations in some of their applications. So you can see they're integrating not only signature controls, which most people expect, but they have their own input field. They have annotations on some of the diagrams. So they're really taking it, and they're really able to present to their customers a lot of the value add that the platform brings for these particular scenarios. So this is an exciting one. I love the fact that SAP is successful. The case studies are starting to come. So monitor our websites. You'll start to see some of the recent deployments and some of the wins there. And then I've listed Criterion. The reason I picked Criterion is because this is a real opportunistic one. These folks are in the real estate area. They've been building applications for realtors for quite some time now. But not until the tablet came along did they have the perfect solution for the realtor. From one end, from the beginning to the end of that cycle of selling a home, the whole thing is controlled through a tablet-enabled application that they ship. And they've taken it to the extreme. When they sell the product, you get a suitcase with a tablet, with a printer, with a digital camera, with a cellular modem, with a service fee for wireless access, everything in front of you. So you can actually start, they can walk in, take a picture of the place, of the home, they can send it through the application up to the server, have it posted in the MLS, they can do contracts. Very, very cool. They've gone from, their customer base, well, I won't give you numbers, has grown close to an order of magnitude with the introduction of this particular application. So these guys are pumped. They're starting to sign some pretty big names. And again, it's there. The customer success story you can see with Realty World, where they're recognizing a real return, increase their business by 30% as a result of the technology that they're using built on the tablet. So a very focused scenario, but a very opportunistic one. And there's tons more out there for you folks to start to take advantage of and deliver your applications into. So I don't want you to just think it's me saying all this. I actually want you to hear a real ISV talk about real work and real cool applications. So I'd like Todd Hardman to come up. He's the chief architect for Agilix Labs, and he's going to spend some time with you and show you what they've done. Take it away.
Stay on? No, we're still having problems with it. Yeah, we're still having problems with it staying on there. I wonder if we'll try the other one. Oops. Okay, we're working fine now. Our first tablet application was for Frank McCovey called the Tablet Planner. Today I want to show you our latest application called GoBinder, which is kind of a derivative of the Tablet Planner. It's an application aimed at students in higher education. So here we have a syllabus screen, which I wanted to show you. And so when the students come into here, they can enter their syllabus. In this case, the syllabus was actually downloaded from an online course management system hosted by the university. But once I've got my syllabus, I've got my classes in there, and then I can see the schedule of things that I have to do. And then each one of these things I can link to a task or an appointment for, this is when the final is, or this is when this assignment is due. And so those things show up on my task list on the left here, and the calendar on the right, and lets me keep track of the things that I'm doing as a student. Within this application, all these elements, since they came in from the online course management system, all show up as text. But since we're a tablet and we wanted to enable the pen for all of our students, we not only wanted to turn on note-taking like you might see in Journal, but we wanted to have ink anywhere in the application. So to do that, we started exploring different ways to pull it in. We looked at how we would store ink and text within database fields, how we would deal with searching and all that. So here in this case, you can see up at the top here, I can switch my pen from a pen to a highlighter, an eraser, and so forth. So if I'm in the pen, I can click on the task here, and the little box there is really kind of hard to write in if you're trying to write with one of these pens. It's very difficult. So at first it was too small, then we tried just putting big boxes everywhere, and then it looked too big, and you got these texts that just kind of look sort of first grader type thing. And so actually inspired by the tip, we came up with the idea, we'll just pop up something when you're over it. And so here this lets me enter in a size that's easy for me to write in. So I can say, basketball, basketball shoes or something that I need to go purchase. And then when I close it, it shrinks back down, and so that it fits within the box. I can easily read it when it's smaller, but the pop-up gives me an easy way to edit the ink, like the tip does, except that instead of forcing you to convert it to text, we just capture the ink and show it to you right there in the field. Once I've got it there, I can leave it as ink if I choose, as I've got it here, or I can just say convert it to text, and we've got text in there or we can undo it and put it back and leave it as ink, however you want to have it there. So I could go over here and let's say I want to create a new appointment. So I've got my basketball shoes, so I want to go, I've got a basketball game tonight. And then I'll come down here and it's in the gym. So you can see how as I move over, different fields just pop up for me to work with. Then I wanted to see today's Wednesday, but this game is actually on Friday. So here we use, similar to what Frank had talked about with context tagging, we actually early on wrote our own tip that let us collect ink or text or so forth. We would context tag it. So this particular field I'm entering, we know it's a date. So when we convert it, we tell the recognizer that it's a date, and the recognizer has nearly 100% accuracy when it knows the data type they're trying to collect. We're very excited about the improvements they've made with the Lone Star chip and look forward to having a version come out in the summer that actually uses the Lone Star chip instead of our own. So as I get that, I can change this and say, well, it's 3/26/2004, which is Friday. Push it through, and as you can see, it recognized it perfectly and put the date in there. So we have that context tagging capability, and it really does improve the app. We actually built it in using a system similar to what they're doing, and so it'll be very straightforward to migrate over. Then, now that I've recorded that, if I go flip over here to the 26th, you can see the basketball game there at noon, and again, we left it in ink, and everything just shows up in ink. It's stored in the database in ink, and we can work with it that way. Another interesting thing we did with ink was in here when we're filling in a kind of a typical form or a database type field, we provided an area up here where you could enter information about people that you know, their phone numbers, their names, and so forth. But if we pushed it all together into a box, it kind of made it look pretty good, almost like a paper form. But it lets you write on it with ink, or you can type. So if I wanted to, I could flip my pen over here to the keyboard mode, or it makes my pen just act like a mouse, and then I can use my keyboard and tab through these fields. Or I can leave it as a pen and just go in here and write. And so let's say I've got a work group or a study group or something coming up, and I wanted to write down one of the classmates. And let's say her name is Susan Richards, and her number is just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I record that information in there. We went through and we did some ink dividing capability, which in the 1.5 SDK they released an ink divider, which we've then switched over to, but it lets you pull the different ink strokes apart into different places based on how they're grouped or where they sit and things. You can divide things up into lines or so forth. And this one, then this one I can use it so that as I say convert to text, you can see it puts all of the ink, it converts them, puts them into their appropriate text box fields. This phone number, again, we used context tagging, and so that it was coerced into a field, and then the name it actually happened to get right anyway. So I can put it back in ink if I choose. And I can also come down here and let's say her email is susan@hotmail.com. So then I can go ahead and save that record there. And if I go look at my phone list, so here's kind of a typical database view where we have, columns of data, rows of data, and some of the data is text that came in from either I typed it in or came in from some online system, or the areas where it was ink, we just leave it in ink and show it there. But you notice that if we go down here and find Susan Richards, she's sorted in here. She's sorted in here alphabetically correct because even though I didn't convert the name to text, I left it in ink. In the background, we go ahead and recognize it. We know her name is Susan Richards, and we can alphabetically sort her into the right place. And then we break out her fields so we can see her email name. Her email is right here and her phone number right here. And we've dealt with it in a nice database fashion, but preserving the ink. Another important activity that students do is obviously note-taking, and within the note-taking arena, I borrowed one of Frank's slides here. This is an early one, an early draft. But if you go to college now, most things are done by handing out PowerPoints or PDFs or some other form, and that's how the professors distribute the information they want. And so a lot of times they'll just go to a website and download the PDF or the PowerPoint or the Word document. So what we allow them to do is bring it in, and if they want to, they can, to kind of replace the feel of what you used to have with the 3-ring binder, we go ahead and let you print this into your Go binder. So we have a printer driver that will capture the things that they print, so you just say, print it into the Agilix Go binder. So if I come over here, how did that print? Oh, I think I printed the whole thing. So it's gonna... Yeah, okay, here we go. It's going to take a minute. I usually just print one page, but that's going to take a second to come in here. Okay, so here we have Frank's slides in here. Now that I've got them in here, it's kind of just like e-paper, so I can turn on my highlighter here and I can talk. See, I really like what he said about tablet PC momentum. I can write a note on here, you know, what ISVs are there. But I can take notes on this just as if it was paper. It's stored in here. And I'll show you some interesting stuff you can do with it once you have it. Here's another one that was brought in. This was actually printed off of a web page. Excuse me. This is printed off of a web page for the biology class. And so as you can see right here is the word roses, which is actually from the underlying document that I printed in. Well, I can go over here and I can write roses with my pen. Now I'll convert that. So now I've got a text box here that was a note, and I could have typed this, or in this case I converted it. I'm going to go over here and write roses again, and leave that one in my handwriting. And I'll go over here. So now I'll click on our search. In our database, it's actually got a fully inverted full text index. So every word in every document is indexed. And then for all the ink and all the text that you write or put on there yourself, we also add that to the full text index on the fly as you're doing it. So now I can come over here and search for roses. And you see I got a hit down here in that special project overview. So I pull that up, and you can see that roses right here in the original underlying document was indexed in search. I got roses. It's kind of hard to see the highlighting here. Oh, it disappeared when I wrote on it. Let's bring it back up again. Okay, so I've got the roses highlighted here from text, and then also the ink that we always background index everything. And when you do the ink recognition, they give you the highest word they think it likely is, and then they also give you several alternates, and they rank the alternates according to, you know, we strongly feel like this is it, we moderately feel, or, you know, this is a horrible guess, but we're going to give it to you anyway. And so we actually take those and we sort them into the dictionary, and we store all those in the full text index so that you're likely to get hits as you go through the database. Working with the recognizer has actually been really straightforward, very easy to work with, and is a very powerful tool to supply when you've got handwriting that you're working with. Of course, we do have, let's just go into here. We do have straightforward note-taking on lined notebook paper like you would see in journal or something. Just felt like it was a feature we wanted to supply to our students. As we looked at putting the note-taking together, when we first got the SDK from Microsoft, we started looking for a control that would give us this feature, and we started out with the ink edit, and the ink edit actually always forces things to go into text. So we took that one out, and then we went down to the ink picture, and it lets you keep ink, but it's a very simple control. So we actually then decided at that point that we needed to roll our own note-taking capability. Initially, we worked with the ink overlay, but we actually found that the ink collector was sort of the sweet spot for us, and that's where we ended up building our note-taking control. But we're very excited about the real-time stylus. It's having our experiences that we've had with the ink collector, the real-time stylus, letting you kind of get in there between where the strokes are tossed into the ink collection and where they're where they're actually coming in off the digitizer is a very exciting place to play, and makes a lot of things that we had to do here, it made them a lot easier and actually opens up a lot of new opportunities for us. But we do have kind of regular note-taking here, so let's say that I just wanted to, I've got to do a report on Huckleberry Finn for my American Literature class. And as part of this report, so I'm thinking through what I've got to do. Well, obviously the first thing I have to do is read the novel, and then I need to get some research notes together, write a rough draft, and then finally produce the final report. Then we use the ink divider to do something interesting with this. I can actually now take my pen and select that, come over here, drag it onto the calendar, put it on the task list, and it actually takes, the ink divider takes each line from there, divides it up into their own lines, and then drops each one individually onto my task list. So now I have a set of things I need to know, I know I need to go do. I think we're out of time, so I'll stop there.